All right. It's Thursday night. It's 8 o'clock, and we're live for another
We are
episode
live.
of InfoSec to Insanity. How you doing,
I'm
Matt?
getting. We're hanging in there. We're getting pretty insane over here. You know.
I know that's the thing, man. InfoSec and Insanity. The more I'm like spending time, so that tonight is, we're going to talk about message overload. The more messages, the more shit, the more social media. How do you not go insane?
I know. It's like I feel like I'm drowning in emails, news, right? And I feel like unless we're talking about it, everyone can feel like they're going through this alone.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's a larger story. I think it just looks different. I think it's always existed.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll unpack that, man.
Yeah.
Before we do that, though, let's check in quick. So a lot of shit's happened in the last week. I want to start this, as we continue. This is episode 21. Starting to figure out and feel out what our segments will be. And I think one of the segments is just catching up. What's new, what you've been up to. I think it helps people understand. Well, one, I care, so I like hearing what you're going through and what you're working on. But also, I think it helps the audience get to know who we are. What do we actually
Be
do
more
every damn
personable.
day? Yeah.
Right. We're not just here.
Yeah. So tell me about, I know you went skydiving.
Yeah, so what happened in the last week, 2 weeks?
Not 2 weeks. 2 weeks is too long, man. I can't remember what I had for breakfast this morning.
It's been crazy for me. So last week I actually got woken up in the middle of the night because my brother ended up having a heart attack in his sleep. So that's always fun to go through those things. And
He was
then
53.
he was 53. Yep, it was totally unexpected. Saw him at Christmas. Everything seemed like it was getting better for them, but yeah, I guess things operate the way they operate.
Yeah.
So then I ended
So
up,
that was a hell of a shock, right?
yeah, I don't know. Yes, yes, it's a shock because it wasn't expected, but like, I don't know. I wasn't super close to him. Our age gap difference. So like I don't know really. Think I'm still just numb and stuff. And I ended up having a trip planned to go visit some Marine Corps friends last week down in Florida, and I was able to do that and come back. So Florida was fun. I got there, and my friend was like, "Hey, you want to jump out of an airplane?" I'm like, "Fuck yeah, I'm feeling dangerous right now." So
Yeah.
went skydiving and deep sea fishing. Caught some tuna. That's
Tuna. That's
yeah,
pretty cool.
that was
Tuna's expensive on the market, man.
I think we caught like 15 or 20 pounds of tuna, and I didn't get to eat any of it because I had to fly back the next day. It was a bunch of BS.
That
You
is
gotta
bullshit.
gotta stop fishing on the last day or stay
So
longer,
you
I
went
guess.
skydiving. That was the first time you've ever gone skydiving, yeah?
Yes, we did a tandem jump, 13,000 feet. I actually didn't. I wasn't as scared or nervous or anything as I thought I was gonna be. It
Yeah.
kind of went
You
pretty
sent me
quick.
the video, man. You looked relaxed.
I think, part of everything going on, I was just like, fuck it, like whatever at this point, right? So,
Yeah.
I was pumped, but I almost, uh, I am kind of a spaz, so I don't think sometimes. So after we got done, I took they were taking the stuff off me, and I was like excited, so I did a somersault to the
Yeah, I saw that.
side, and my buddy was coming in, and he almost kicked me in the face. So gotta pay attention sometimes. That's that situational awareness stuff we're talking about.
Yeah, that your instructor gave you shit for that.
She did. Yep. Yep. That was
All right. So you're going to do that again? Is this going to be a habit for you?
I'm definitely down to go again. It might be a thing where, scuba diving got certified, right? Maybe I need to do 11 dives so I can, or skydives, I guess. It's all diving and get certified for that too. Who knows?
Is that the plan?
I don't know. I want to go again. We'll see.
Now, are your Marine Corps friends? Are they certified?
No. My one friend, he bitched out. The other one, he went. It was his
Oh
first
yeah,
time too. Yeah.
he punked out, huh?
Yeah, he's like, I got kids and I had a parasailing thing, so I'm gonna sit this one out. But we made fun of him.
Yeah, that's Marine. That's what Marines do.
Yeah, it was all
Well,
good.
that's cool, man.
What's been
The
up with you?
dude, it's ADHD without meds makes me do all kinds of weird stuff. So, yeah, the CISSP mentor program, getting that all
Did it
squared
start or
away.
you're prepping?
Prepping. Yeah, it'll start in April. And for people who don't know what that is, it's, we started that in 2010 with 6 students. My mission is always to fix the broken industry. So, and usually what motivates me is when I get pissed off enough about something. And so I got tired of hearing people say we don't have enough talent. So we offered free training. We started it 16 years ago and 15 years ago. And so it's over 100,000 students have been through that program, which
That's
is really cool
impressive.
because I think most people don't know I did it, and I don't really care,
Do you know
if you
how
know
many of
that I
those
did it.
people are not like security professionals? Because I know when I went through it one time, there's people like teachers and stuff like that. So I feel like you're touching people that are not traditional tech people,
Yeah,
which I think is what we need more of.
true, man. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, we think that so much of what information security is not. It's not supposed to be a specialized skill. It's a life skill. Things like situational awareness, things like understanding, keeping data secret, confidentiality, making sure data is accurate, data integrity, making sure it's available. I mean, those things, those are fundamentals. There's nothing you're going to learn in the CISSP that's deep, specialized. It's a whole bunch of like basic stuff that I wish everybody knew more. But this year I'm changing it up because it's been kind of a misnomer when you say uh, mentor program, because really it's a training program. It has been traditionally. And back when we started in 2010, there wasn't free training. But now, you can find free or low cost training for CISSP kind of everywhere,
Download an
right?
app on your phone, right?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so the part that's missing is the mentor piece. So we need to do a better job this year of mentoring people, which mentoring is sharing your experience. It's sharing your wisdom with people. It's, learning the stuff, but then this is what we found on how it works in the real world.
That's how
So,
we got
we've
started.
got 7 or 8 instructors that I think will join us and, share their mentoring experience. So it'll be fun this year.
Nice.
Switching it all up. And then, so I've been working on that. And then the new book, Unsecurity 2.0, I have the outline done for that. I guess, there's quite a few people that are excited about that, whatever.
I'm excited. I want to add that
Yeah,
to the mandatory reading for anybody that's on my team.
cool. Yeah, the chapters are, I mean, the outline is complete. And, maybe I'll share that in a future episode. Yeah, because I think there's like, because we gave away most of them because I don't, mission before money, man. So I didn't really give a shit if we made money with it. But there's like 100,000 copies in circulation now. And I think most people probably didn't pay for it, which is totally cool with me.
I paid for mine with blood, sweat, and tears. You were
There you
kicking
go.
my ass
Me
on
too.
that cribbage board, just up and down, pegging.
Writing a book is a bitch, man. I mean, I kind of opened that up in the book. So I've been working on that. And then the last 2 days, just neck deep in debugging code. So lots and lots. And that, I don't know, for people who are developers or have coded before, it's, you got to focus. You get in deep.
Well, you're in for like 12 hours.
Yeah.
Then you're like, where did the day go? Oh
Mm-hmm.
shit. I won. It's so crazy how that feels.
Well, yeah. And it takes a long time. It takes a good couple hours just to decompress. When you get done and your wife is like, so what'd you do today? It's like, you just stare at her for a little bit. Like, what? So yeah, been doing that today. And that's all working on Project Broken Mirror, which is a whole nother thing. Because the open source installs weren't, they install, but they work like shit. It's pretty complicated code. So it's cleaning all that shit up. That's been, and then, oh shit, check this out, dude. I'll share with you. Let me share my screen real quick. So if anybody's gonna be listening to the podcast, you won't know what I'm sharing, but
if you're listening to the podcast, you got to tune in live on YouTube. I mean, that's what
you do. So check that out.
Oh, snap. Is that the replacement?
I bought this.
Nice. It's an upgrade.
Yeah. The Can-Am Defender Max Limited. So I went to go take delivery today, but in Mexico, trying to take delivery of a new vehicle that you bought is it's a pain in the ass because Mexico's government is really slow at getting plates and registrations done and shit like that. So, but this is what happens when you give me money. I go buy stupid shit like this that I didn't need.
That thing is decked out compared to the other one.
Yeah, so it's a Can-Am 2025. It's the same color as this one. It's the dust
Brand
navy.
Fucking new. Dude.
Yeah, man. And it's just sitting there. I could have driven it home, but it would have been illegal for me to drive that home.
You don't want to get pulled over for that down there.
No. Yeah, I mean, because the $35,000 you just spent on it, they just take it away from you.
So that's got onboard radio, heating, all that.
Yeah, air conditioning. It's got a sweet winch on it.
Does the back fold down? Because I know you have those blow-up paddle boards.
There's a roof rack. I'm probably going to get a roof rack accessory, and I'll rack it up. So I did that. What else? Shit, that's about it, man. I mean, it's just crazy shit for me all the time, basically. Yeah. Got ready for this podcast. Oh, speaking of that, closing up some unfinished business from last week. I also wanted to share, the talk last week, or what we covered, was mental health. And I thought it was super awesome. We had Steve Shelton, who joined us, in the last episode. He's from Green Shoe Consulting. But one of the things I had promised was to provide some resources. So I'm going to share that too on the screen. So if you go to my website, evanfrancine.com, I posted this week. Just that. So industry, if you look at you can always subscribe if you want that. But so mental health in InfoSec, this was, first the thanks to Steve Shelton, a link to the podcast from last week. Green Shoe Consulting was the company that he works for. And then things we didn't get to, some industry specific mental health support, mental health hackers, cyber minds. The human element report is more of a report than it is an actual resource. But sometimes when you read reports about mental health in our industry, it reassures you that you're not the only one. It fights some of that stigma. Also have some professional mental health support resources, the Open Path Collective, BetterHelp, and Talkspace. Some pretty cool resources there. And then crisis and immediate help. Sometimes you don't know you need help until like shit is hitting the fan, right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm super depressed today. I don't know why, or maybe you do know why, but maybe you're going to do something. You know, do something irrational, hurt somebody, hurt yourself. Here's the crisis and immediate helplines for the suicide and crisis lifeline in the United States. There's a text line that a lot of these resources I didn't know existed.
Yeah, I didn't know there was a text thing either. That's crazy.
Yeah. So you can text home to 741-741 and chat with a trained crisis counselor. Some community and peer support. So there's DEF CON Mental Health Village there, some Slack and Discord groups if you're interested, a Reddit, some Reddit communities. And then, of course, a lot of workplaces nowadays are offering employee assistance programs. So check with your employer if that's available for you.
So I like how you put call them out because I had reached
There
out
you go.
to my team to try and get Steve to come in and do some work for my team. And the answer was, oh, it's an HR problem. So what I ended up doing was working around and getting my ISSA chapter to host an event at my work. And Steve came in then at my work.
Cool. Very
Yeah.
cool. I think a lot of times people don't know where to start with, you know, resources. You know, where do I go? And, you know, these are some resources. If you have some, you know, yourself that you'd like to add here, just let me know. But this, you can find all of this if you go to my, you know, evanfrancine.com and you go to blog, you'll find, you know, all the things that I write there. Being that it was the last one that I wrote, you know, that's where you find it. I should have created a much shorter URL for that so I could read it out to everybody.
I copied it and put it in the chat.
There you go. All right. So that's that. That's the unfinished business from last week. What did you think of the episode last week?
I thought it was great watching you and Steve chat.
I talked way too
That's
much, man. After that, I was like, oh.
well, it's great because it shows, you know, that you're passionate about it and why you're passionate about it, and really why I wanted to connect you guys because I think there's great synergy there.
Yeah. Well, we'll have him back because mental health is something, it doesn't go away. It's always something we have to keep an eye on. And the more you talk about it, the more you break down that bullshit stigma.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll keep talking about it and we'll keep talking about it. Sound good?
Yes, sir.
All right. So tonight's topic, Matt, you ready for it?
I think so. I might be in
You think
buffer
so?
overload right now, but we're okay.
Message overload. So this actually came from a blog post too. The, you know, that I had written because, you know, I just get kind of a wild hair up my ass and I'm like, man, we should throw something out here. And it's all about just getting stuff out of my brain onto some form of art, I guess. And it would be, in this case, writing. And I think some people find benefit out of reading it. Some people don't. But if you go to my website, this is message overload. And what I wrote about was this message overload. I get frustrated, man, because I can't keep up with it. When you talk about emails, text messages, Discord, Signal, WhatsApp,
Even just the
Twitter,
news. The
dude, I mean,
news,
it's,
billboard signs, like there's just it's like all day.
yeah, I can't keep up with it.
Did you know the average person, and this is 14 years ago, by the way, that I got this data from, the average person consumes 74 gigs of data per day. That's the equivalent to watching 16 full-length movies every day. I imagine that's probably over 100 gigs now.
How 74 gigs
Mm-hmm.
a day?
Yep.
That's how much information you process,
Consume.
consume.
I would
Okay.
say processing is different.
Son of a,
Which is why this is important because I think the more you consume, the harder it is to process and filter out what's important. And if you can't process and filter out all that stuff, it leads to overload, stress, fatigue, misinformation. So how are we navigating all of this?
Right. Let's do some trivia.
Okay.
What year was the first SMS text message?
Shit,
What
I don't
year
know.
was the first SMS text message sent? I'll give you 4 options:
Okay.
1990, 1992, 1995, or 1998.
Really? I thought it would have been the 80s. I'll go with 91.
92. 91 wasn't an option. I said 90,
Oh.
92, 95, and 98.
Well,
But
that's how good I'm listening.
right? Message overload, man.
Yes.
So
yes.
the first SMS text message was sent in 1992. Which country has the highest number of WhatsApp users? Do you use WhatsApp?
I only download it when I need it. Otherwise, I offload it.
Okay.
And that's only when I come to visit you, really.
WhatsApp is super popular here in Mexico.
Yeah.
Everybody uses WhatsApp. If you want to communicate with others, in the US, it's not very popular at all. What do you think is the most popular? I wonder what's the most popular messaging
Facebook
app
Messenger.
in the US? Think so? Facebook Messenger. WhatsApp is owned by Meta.
Is. Yep. It is. Same thing.
Man, I wonder how much data they consume every day.
You probably can't even fathom how much it is, dude.
Right. Which country do you think has the highest number of WhatsApp users? India, Brazil, USA, or Indonesia?
It's India.
It is India. Approximately how many emails are sent worldwide each day? 100 billion, 200 billion, 300 billion, or 400 billion?
400 billion.
300 billion. But that's a tough question anyway.
How many are legit? Or how much is spam?
Okay. I got that one too. Okay. How many spam emails are sent worldwide each day? 50 billion, 100 billion, 150 billion, or 200 billion?
Well, if I'm going to say 150 billion.
It is. Half of every email sent worldwide every day is spam.
Seems like we should be able to fix that problem.
You know, we have a law. It's the Can Spam Act. How well did that work?
Yeah, it's just more fucking flapping of the gums.
I get spam every day, and I don't even know how many there are. Our spam filters, you know,
does the Can Spam go to SMS too, or is it only email?
I'm not sure.
I'm gonna have to look at that later. 300
billion emails every day. So
that's more than the people on the planet. Like,
yeah. So if you figured like I think there's 7 billion people on the planet, and not even, I would say, I don't know, I'd have to guess, but
it's like 40 emails a day.
Probably. Well, and think about like how many people don't even have email.
Right.
You know, so say 5 billion, and I think that's high. 5 billion people have email, and you get 300 billion emails a day. That means the average person gets 60 emails a day, and that would be the average.
Yeah.
A lot of people get a hell of a lot more. How many emails do you think you get a day?
I think I stay pretty proactive on blocking, but I probably get around 30. Well, at work, I got like 6 email accounts now, so it might be 50 or so a day, depending on the day.
Yeah, I haven't even checked email today, so I can tell you how many I've got.
Good for you.
Not
checking email, that's awesome.
Well, because I think that's one of the things is like, screw it, man. I mean, the world's not going to end if I don't respond to email. So ones that just made it through the spam filters, which are pretty stringent for us, and just my 2 business email accounts, 138 emails today. So 138 emails. That's way too many emails.
So did you know that information overload is not new?
No,
it's
can't
been around
be
forever.
But do you think the problem's gotten worse though? now that we're so damn connected and so social mediaized, whatever.
It just connected. Yeah, I think it's exacerbated, and I think we just keep kicking the can. Like we're not willing to talk about it. We just
Mm-hmm.
because there's so much money, they just keep kicking it and ignoring it. I don't know. At
Right.
some point, it's gotta self-destruct.
You would think so, man. I mean, because I get more emails today than I've ever gotten. I get more text messages today. And text messages are pretty safe for me, really, because there's only a few people that can get through on that.
Mm-hmm.
But still, occasionally, you get a handful of just shit texts. I get messages on LinkedIn. I mean, I don't know how many damn messages I don't even check lately. I actually do need to go check because, I put a call out for instructors for the CISSP mentor program on LinkedIn. So I'm guessing
You have 100,000 messages.
well, tomorrow, I mean, eventually I have to go and see who responded so I can recruit them as instructors.
Well, so let's think about, I said it's exacerbated. Is it really exacerbated or not? Because and maybe it's relative, right? If you were never having access to information and all of a sudden there's a printing press and you can now have access to a whole bunch of books, that was probably exacerbated too for
Mm-hmm.
them. So, I
Right.
mean, maybe it's not any different.
It seems different. I mean, I've been around for a long time and so have you. The number of messages I get today are they're more overwhelming for sure. I don't know in terms of the actual number that I get.
Okay. So
But
I think I would agree because it's more direct. So if we're going back in history with printing press, books, all those things, you had to go out and find it. Now it's like direct to your face, instant.
well, and there's how do you set proper expectations too? You know what I mean? Because you have friends, that message you and, sometimes it takes a day or two or a week before you can get to things, before you can find some time to sit down. And for me, I have to actually purposely force myself to reply to messages. I see them a lot. I'll see them on my phone. I'm like, all right, I should reply. Like I got a message there's like 4 messages today that I need to reply to. One's from Sean Riley, the cyber sports, I guess he wants me to join his board of directors, but I haven't responded to that. Hopefully I will soon. There's a message from you still that I didn't reply to when you asked me about days, in July.
Yeah.
Then you've got emails, and so it's like, there's a whole bunch of shit in all the shit that I need to sit down and reply to. That's become more overwhelming for me today than it's ever been.
I wonder.
Just the sheer number of things that I need to reply to.
So I think there's probably a balance between you and me. I'm curious how we get there. So I feel like
Mm-hmm.
you're super open. So you have all this stuff going on. You have all these messages. I'm pretty closed off and protected. I don't have like big groups of things and I'm able to stay on top of my stuff. Maybe I'm able to stay on top of it for now. Maybe I'll burn out
Mm-hmm.
later or something, but um, I don't seem
So you
to
don't
get a
feel like
backlog.
you don't feel like message burnout so much.
I think I'm probably on the line where I make sure I'm exposed enough to where I can handle it, I
Yeah.
guess.
Well, and
Cuz
before we end this episode, we'll cover 10, I guess, tips for dealing with message overload. And I had to do research on this because this isn't something that I'm good at. I don't follow these rules. So as I did research for tonight's episode, I was like, all right, maybe I could try some of these things out. This is a play off of, the mental health thing too from last week.
Yeah, it plays.
Yeah. I mean, your brain wasn't built necessarily to process 74 gigabytes of input every day.
So according to that same document, today we consume more information in one day than someone in the 1700s consumed in their entire lifetime.
Right. And so to your point,
That's
there's a
crazy.
there's a critical mass here somewhere, and it's called cognitive overload. And I think what happens, and because I've seen it happen in my own life, like when you have this cognitive overload, the quality of the work that I do suffers a lot. I end up half-assing a lot of shit because, we talk about multitasking. We're not built to multitask. Nope. It may seem like you're multitasking because you've got really multiple things. Exactly. But there's only one thread that's processing at any given time. And so when you have this cognitive overload, you almost get like, what is it? Like a buffer overflow.
Yep.
Like you were talking about,
I actually say that out loud to people in the office. Like, I got buffer overload right now. Leave me alone. And they're like, what are you talking about, security guy?
And what does it do? What does it do for our stress level? When you're dealing with all these inputs from all these different places, it can get stressful. Because even if I'm not stressed about the number of inputs and I can, shield myself from that by just like dropping it, like, screw it, I'm not connecting today. I'm just going to go out and do things. You still have some stress because in the back of your mind, that once I sit down at the computer again, I have God knows how many emails that I need to reply to, how many LinkedIn messages. I mean, it doesn't go away. So
it's like
it does become stressful.
For a developer.
Yeah. I mean, and some of it you just like, all right, I'm not even going to respond. So you just delete a whole bunch of emails, but then you want to make sure you don't delete the ones that are important.
Why should I have to spend time deleting ones that don't matter? That's another problem.
Well, that was the point with the whole canned spam thing, and the unsolicited email. It's not healthy.
So
those unsolicited emails that you get all the time, they do create stress. They do distract you. They do produce cognitive overload. They do fragment your attention. We talked about debugging code. When I'm debugging code, I need to focus. I'm not paying attention to text messages, emails. It takes a good 30 minutes just for me to get into the mental space to start debugging code. And if you take me out of that for a message or an email, start it over again. It's another 30 minutes for me to get back in the damn brain again.
You have to set up your whole flow, how all this stuff is working together. It's like setting up a game board.
Yeah. And if people are counting on me to get some shit done, with the message distraction stuff, if I don't find a way to get rid of it, you spend 18 hours doing 5 hours, 6 hours of work, maybe. And most of the work that you did is half-assed because you started and stopped and might have forgotten where you were at. I mean, it is a problem. And I do think the problem is getting worse. And I'm not sure what to do about it. So I think when we get to the 10 tips, it'll be interesting for us to talk about that, because I don't know, because I've heard, there's all kinds of different strategies. Some people are just, delete all the messaging apps, or just use a couple messaging apps, right? So maybe I drop Slack, I drop Discord, I drop LinkedIn messaging or whatever. But how do people know then how to get a hold of me if they need to get a hold of me?
You'll make sure the important people know how.
Well,
You said you
that's
have
one
your
strategy.
circles. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one strategy that I do have is the people that truly matter that are in, one of the inner circles for me can get my attention when they need to. But, when they need to, they may have to go to some extremes for that, which isn't fair.
Yeah, it should be easy for. Yeah, we shouldn't have to put up like a defense, right?
Right.
But it's
And
like
when
you're
you were,
playing defense.
when I was a kid, and I think that's something about this generation that I live in, is we owe it to the generation that's following us, because we can remember what it was like to not have this message overload and what it's like to have it now. Because when I was younger, 20s and younger, we didn't have cell phones. We didn't have email. If you wanted to get a hold of somebody, you found a payphone somewhere or went home and called them on a landline. And there was no message overload then for me.
Can you imagine? Like we used to call people and say, "Hey, meet me here," and they just
Mm-hmm.
showed up. It was like magic.
Right. And where do you think FOMO plays in this? The fear of missing out. Like, what happens if you miss that really important email?
I think that I think the media and social media together created that.
Yeah.
That's something
Yeah.
I'm starting to unpack myself right now. Is like, do I need to be connected and concerned about everything that's happening in the world? Media, social media people tell me like I should be caring what's happening here, whatever. But that's not in my area. It's not in my control. So why should I care? Am I a bad person? I don't know. I'm still processing that.
Yeah. Well, because I've been the older I get, the more I appreciate perspectives. People who think differently than me, people that see the world differently than me, because their perspectives actually end up making my perspective, I think, in my life better. My decisions are better when I'm making decisions with good context, which comes from those perspectives. But then there's also like, how many perspectives is too many perspectives?
Analysis paralysis. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, you just information overload. Eventually, you do blue screen. I think I found myself like, you talk about burnout too. You know, I've gotten to points many times where like I absolutely dread turning on my computer today. I don't want to see it. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want nothing.
It's the craziest thing, 12, 13 years ago, going to college, drinking, then go play video games 12, 13 hours, man. I'm never going to hate my computer.
Mm-hmm.
I never want to be on this thing. It's
I
crazy.
know. Well, the older you get, the more, the more people I talk to that are my age and older, uh, the more you'll find like we don't want technology. I don't want to be connected anymore. I want to find a place where I can just like no phone, no messaging, no emails, just whoever's in front of me, just face to face, discussions.
Real connection.
Yeah, because you have to do that. Because if you're not, like my wife, for instance, the most important relationship I have outside of Jesus, she deserves my attention. So you have to disconnect. And how healthy that is for our relationship, how healthy that is for my mental health. So it comes down, I think, a lot when you talk about messaging and this message overload, it comes down to prioritization. Prioritizing your time, your attention, and then slicing it up. There's a time for messaging, for sure. And I think when people, if not worrying so much, that stress thing about if I didn't respond to somebody, that when they complain, nicely explain to them that, not intentional. It's I can't reply to all my messages. I just can't. I mean, even if there were 24-hour, if I spent all day just replying to messages, I still wouldn't keep up because my reply to a message would create another message back. It becomes this
Yes.
loop.
Mm-hmm.
I could do nothing but just reply to emails, text messages, LinkedIn, all this shit all day.
Yeah. I think that's why the influencers are always doing this all day.
Yeah. Well, and I do have an X account, formerly known as Twitter, because I
It's
think
always
it's
Twitter to me, by the way.
me too. Me too. Because I think it's always just kind of interesting. It's more for entertainment, I think, for me than anything else. But you'll see people tweet and tweet and tweet, and you swear that you must do this all day long.
Yeah.
Do you do
Are you
anything else other than tweet?
are you contributing to anything?
Well, yeah, that's a whole nother point, right?
Yeah.
Because
Do you find yourself desk scrolling on Twitter? Like I'll be there 40 minutes later, like what the hell did I even look at? I have no idea.
yeah, sometimes it's
Screw that.
entertainment for me. It's same with like Facebook. I don't do anything on Facebook other than the videos I think are entertaining. The little short videos. I watch those a lot because they're funny. But keeping up on that stuff, and one of the things that has helped me is to, when I talked about the circles, those are the messages I'm looking out for. I'm looking for my messages from my wife, the messages from my kids, the messages from my friends, my close friends, the messages from, close coworkers. And then if I get through all of that, then maybe there's time for the other shit. But if I don't get through all of that, I need to be disciplined and not do the other shit.
Yeah.
So I didn't reply to the random person asking me to do this or do that, or I didn't reply to, Sean Riley about being on his board of directors. I mean, yeah, that'd be really cool to be on your board of directors, but I'm
That's
complaining
another
about not
thing
having.
you're taking on.
Yeah, I complain about not having enough time and energy now. Why should I be adding more to it? This doesn't make any damn sense. So anyway, yeah, message overload is it's a real thing. Do you mentioned though, Matt, that you seem to stay on top of it.
I feel like I do, but I also feel like I'm probably not involved in as many things as other people, and
Mm-hmm.
I probably, well, I know I don't have as good of uh, interpersonal relationships as I
Mm-hmm.
could. I'm pretty siloed,
Mm-hmm.
so I feel
Is that
like
on purpose, do you think, or just?
it's probably a defense thing from years of trauma and depression and whatnot.
It's kind of a good defense mechanism, though. I mean,
Well, if we're talking about fighting information overload, yes, but then it's also lonely.
isolation,
Hmm.
sort of. All right. So I'll have to put your messages higher up on my top of my list so that I ensure that you're not lonely when you message me.
Nah, you do good. I
I don't
appreciate
know,
it.
man. I told you there's like a message you gave me 2, 3 days ago I didn't respond to.
It was today.
Was that today? The one where you asked me about July?
Oh, it might have been yesterday. Or yeah, whatever. It wasn't critical. Like yeah, it's not a
Yeah,
critical.
that's another thing to
That's
try to.
priority, right? Like, is it a critical respond now or later thing?
Yeah.
I pretty much, I think where I'm at, how I manage it is just instantly respond to everything. But you had me thinking about the whole, we don't multitask, we're switching all the time, and then we're probably half-assing. So I'm probably half-assing a lot of things, and no one's probably calling me on it. and I'm just doing good enough.
That'd be hard, though. I mean, somebody'd have to know you pretty intimately to know whether you're half-assing it. I think you'd have to be. I think a better approach to that would be to be honest with yourself and identify whether or not you're half-assing it. Maybe, I don't know,
I
because
know I
nobody knows
do.
me well enough to know. Because I'm my own biggest critic, and so I know when I half-assed it, but I don't think anybody else does.
I know there's times where I'm not all in, but that's the other challenge I have is like the whole Marine Corps discipline. It's like all in all the time, and I'm trying to, balance that out with the civilian world. So there's like multiple layers of just discovery and growth happening, I think.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I've got 6 in that blog post I talked about. I got 6 suggestions on how to deal with it. But then I've also got, and there'll be some overlap because, again, I'm not an expert on these things. So I'm learning along with anybody else who's trying to learn how to deal with message overload. I do feel it. I do know I deal with. I do know I suffer from it. So I'm hoping I can learn some skills, and maybe a listener can learn some skills too.
Do you
The
want to
first thing
take
is
a
to,
do you want to take a quick pivot?
yeah, let's pivot. What you got?
So we're talking about how information overload is bad. Do you think
Mhm.
it is helpful in some areas?
Explain. What do you think?
So I think we have access to more information than ever before.
Mhm.
You can sit down and learn about something within minutes, right? YouTube, I want to learn how to do something, watch a 3-minute video, I can do anything, right? You get access to that type of information.
Mhm.
Now you can also get access to, the social movements and the instant news, right? I think that contributes to some stuff, but you never got that before.
It's not the access to the information that's a problem. I think it's what you can do with it, what you're going to do with it. Because I agree, the information is more accessible today than it's ever been. But I swear people are more dumb than they've ever been.
It seems
You
like
know?
that, and we had a whole episode about that, like what, 3 or 4 weeks ago. You guys
Yeah.
can check that out.
Yeah, exactly. So I think there's more information available than ever, but I think you just cram it all in. And I don't think people take enough time to discern the information that they're
It's
receiving.
the consumption versus processing.
Yeah. Because I think today it's easier than ever to manipulate people. I think social engineering is like, this is the golden age for that, because people they don't read, take news, for instance. Most people read the headline and that's it. They don't read the substance. They don't consider the source of the information. My dad always taught me to consider the source. Who's telling you this? Because a lot of times there's a bias behind it.
Everyone speaks from their perspective. It could be true for them, but it might not be true for you.
Right. And look no further than the shit that's happening in politics right now in the United States. Holy crap. It's you've got one side saying this, another side saying that. The truth is somewhere in the middle of all of this. I just got upset because, yeah, it's just stupid. There's so much. We're gonna have to
It's
do another
hard not to.
We're gonna have to do another podcast on just social media, just the shit it does to you, because
Oh yeah.
there's so much quick judgment, hypocrisy, attacking, not using your damn brain to think, using your emotions to think. So lashing out. Oh man, it's crazy as hell. So
That's how everything is working. I think it's designed to trigger an emotional response to get you to buy more stuff, addicted. Yeah, we can do a whole thing on it.
yeah, we'll have to do that in a couple of weeks. So yeah, I mean, I sort of agree with you. It's having
It
the information.
probably more bad than it is good, but there is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like everything, every tool you have, it can be used for good or for bad, like the internet. It's fantastic if you use it right, if you use it responsibly. If you don't, man, it can be one of the most dangerous places anywhere. It's the same with AI. I mean, AI, if you know how to use it responsibly, it's a fantastic tool. You can do all kinds of really cool things and make your life better with it. If you're not responsible with it, it's going to bite you in the ass.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with social media. Social media, if you use it responsibly, if you can use the brain to process and discern, one thing from another, it can be entertaining, and that's why I use it. But it can also destroy people.
I could not use Facebook responsibly, so I had to shut mine down.
And so there's your alternative, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that takes some guts to do that. I think it takes some
like
real self-awareness.
To push that button, dude.
Right. So kudos to you, man. When you identify something that's not healthy in your life, and we talked about this with addiction too, right? With drinking. Yep. You can't, if it's an addiction, there's no little bit of it. It's all or nothing. So you have to, if social media becomes something like that for you, for me, for a listener, you can't manage an addiction. You have to kill the addiction.
Mm-hmm. And if you try to manage it, you're going to replace it with something else.
Well, managing it is just a way you lie to yourself to say that you're managing it. You're not managing it.
Well, and that, as I look back, that's something that now I'm like, did I even really say that? If you have to say, I'm managing my Facebook time, or I'm managing my drinking, using the word management is kind of like a sign.
Yeah, something to evaluate for sure. I mean, we're talking about managing messaging.
Yeah.
I think society is addicted to messaging.
Oh, I would agree.
It's all over the damn place, man. Like the only way I can get away from it is
scuba dive.
Get away from it. Right. Leave my phone at home and just go somewhere. Get away from it at all and focus. And that is, I mean, that's such a good thing for your mental health, to just disconnect and appreciate the things you have around you. You look at the view, you look at, your significant other, you look into their eyes, you're like, oh, damn, you're actually pretty hot, without having to text her that. All right. So here's our 10 tips. Number 1, the golden hours rule. And I'll post this on my blog.
Educate
so block out,
brother.
Well, it says block out specific times in your day to check messages. For example, 9 a.m., 1 p.m., and 4 p.m. Avoid being in constant reply mode. You're not a chatbot. So pro tip, here's a pro tip, set an auto response. I check messages at 9 a.m., 1 p.m., and 4 p.m. If it's urgent, call me. Otherwise, expect a response then. I like that.
Seems logical.
Yeah.
But can you set up an auto response on all these apps and stuff? I'm not sure.
No.
Email, well, that's logical.
Well, and we'll see if one of the tips, because I haven't gone through all 10 of them, we'll see if one of the tips is to get rid of some of the messaging apps. It's okay if there's only like 1 or 2 or 3 ways to get a hold of you. But some people have jobs, though, that it requires them to have all these different apps. So anyway, I like the golden hours rule. I could totally see how that would work. 9 a.m., whatever. Block out specific times of the day to check your messages, and that's it. And then you don't have to worry about it the whole rest of the day. I kind of backed my way into this a little bit. Like I check messages in the morning mostly, and then I forget the rest of the week. So it's kind of unintentional.
Get up super early.
Some days, yeah. So maybe I check messages at 4 a.m. That's it. I like the idea. The golden hours
Discipline.
rule. That's what it comes down to. You're right, man. Being a Marine with your email. 2, turn off non-essential notifications. I do this. So the tips here: do you really need to see every email, Slack ping, and meme in real time? Mute non-essential group chats and set Slack team status to do not disturb when deep working. Use VIP notifications. Only let important people like your boss or clients break through the silence. I actually do that. My phone is almost always on do not disturb.
I see that now on the chat conversation. Yep.
But you're an authorized sender.
Pass through. Yeah.
So and when I turn that off, so it's on it. Yeah, it's on almost like 24 hours a day. The only time I turn it off is like when I know when somebody's trying to get a hold of me that's not in my list. Like buying this Can-Am, the salesperson is not on my list. I'm not going to add them on my list. So if there's a time when I know that she's trying to reach out to me, I will I'll turn off do not disturb. So I had it off, for some period today. But the thing about do not disturb is even if they do try to get a hold of me, they just get routed to voicemail. Or the text message still goes through. It's just, it won't send me a notification that it went through. So I really like that. I use that all the time, actually, turning off the non-essential notifications.
I started using the do not disturb, but then I got called out for being on call. That's a whole different conversation. But apparently we don't have like a one number. Like it should route through a ticketing system and like call me like you're on call. It doesn't work that way. Apparently anyone can call me, and that I got busted for not answering a call or something. I'm like, well, why isn't it coming from our help desk? That's how this is supposed to work. Well, that's not how it works. Well,
that is a good point, man.
Would be logical.
You've got, and you being the security guy there, maybe you can influence that, because it should go through one triage.
Mm-hmm.
It shouldn't be chaos, because how do you keep track of all that?
You don't. It's
right.
Reactive. It's a whole thing.
So you have two ways to handle that. You can either, like when you're on call, turn off do not disturb and have it on when you're not on call.
Yep.
Or it should be a central number that it comes from.
Yep. So before you were trying to think of a word, and I want to have a little fun. Have you ever heard of the word dingus?
I have heard of the word dingus.
I was educated on this a few years ago. I like to use that word because it's also can be used for thingamajig or whatchamabob, something you don't know the name of, but it sounds funny when you use it.
Dingus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've heard you use the word dingus before.
Yep. So if you don't know what something is, you can use dingus as a replacement.
There you go. Pro tip.
Yep.
Pro tip. All right. So number 2 was turn off non-essential notifications. Number 3, triage your inbox like an ER doctor. So here's an example, a 3-folder system, classifying your emails, action needed, read later, delete, archive. The pro tip is if an email takes less than 2 minutes to respond to, do it immediately. If not, schedule it.
I like that.
Yeah.
I think so. I think technical people are probably good at that because we know how to use Outlook or the workspace to do folders and rules and stuff. However, I think organizations as a whole drop a ball on this, and we don't teach people how to do that. We just say, okay, here's your email, go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's another one of those things. We do that to users all the time. From a security guy's perspective, we give them tools, we give them browsers, we give them laptops, we give them iPads, we give them iPhones, we give them all these apps, all these tools, and we don't ever teach them how to use them right.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get pissed off that you didn't use it right.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah,
I agree. It should be something that should be taught regularly.
Yeah.
But the one thing I really learned about that, because I do triage my email a little bit, I could do it a lot better. Certainly not like an ER doctor, but I do like the pro tip. If an email takes less than 2 minutes to respond, do it now. Otherwise, schedule it. Yeah.
Move into a folder. I
Yeah.
pretty much have nothing in my inbox regularly. Everything's into a different folder usually.
Shit, dude. I have right now, as we speak, I have
Don't even want to know.
12,438 unread emails.
Delete it and start over, my friend.
That's what it's going to come down to. I'm just kind of waiting for.
It's gotta be scary to do that though, because you don't know what's in there.
Well, maybe just delete it, or maybe create a backup of it, and then select all and delete.
No, because your brain is still gonna know. Just delete it.
But the
Just
problem
do
is when you're an executive of a company,
Yeah, you're kind of important.
there might be some legal thing in there that, that I missed. Like, who knows?
Yeah.
That's another thing that your brain starts to like, shit. What if, somebody's going to sue me for this or that? Yeah, it's a fucked up world, man.
What do you think about unsubscribing from emails? I know a lot of the hackers and influencers are like, oh, if you click unsubscribe, you could be phished. Blah, 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 blah.
You could. I mean, the rule of avoiding phishing is never give out sensitive information on any communication you didn't originate. So that would be a communication that I did not originate. So I wouldn't give out any sensitive information. If it's a good unsubscribe link, then it's just click unsubscribe and you're unsubscribed. That's the only message you should get.
Mm-hmm.
But most emails, most spammers and other shit aren't doing that. I don't do it because it's a waste of time. I'd be spending way too much time trying to unsubscribe from shit.
But if you unsubscribe right away,
I'd be assuming that they followed the law, but the fact that their email found its way into my damn inbox probably shows they're not abiding by the law anyway. That's
true.
Yeah. So most of the spam I get doesn't even have an unsubscribe link in it. It's just some salesy salesperson like, here, I'll find one. I'm sure I can find one like as soon as I
do you have one of those
my mailbox.
fancy email tools where you can block senders? Those enterprise grade things? Because that's what they try to do now is like IT doesn't manage your email. Here you get your digest and you can manage your own email. And then we don't teach them how to use that either.
No.
But that's like a thing you can do is create your own lists.
Right. Yeah, I mean, most of the emails I get, like there's all these emails are, and these are ones that made it through the spam filters. So these are somehow in my inbox. I do like how Outlook has a focused, view and an other, but again, I mean, there are things that end up in the other that I should respond to. So it's like, it's just a pain in the ass no matter what I do with that. But I get some people, we used to tell people like, don't subscribe to things or don't give out your information because then you'll find yourself on mailing lists all over the place and get emails. But that's bullshit because you're gonna get the damn emails anyway.
Salesforce, thank you very much.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. So number 4, use AI and filters to your advantage. So email filters, auto sort newsletters, reports, and spam. Slack keywords, set up alerts for critical words like urgent, deadline, so you don't get distracted by nonsense. AI-powered summaries like SaneBox, Spark Mail, or Microsoft Copilot can summarize emails so you don't have to read them all. Maybe. Right? I mean, it's another potential tip that you could use.
Jake Mason has a question for us.
Oh, I wasn't even paying attention to the live stream. What do we got?
I decided to check in. He's a law enforcement officer who's been working towards. Oh, this is a technical question.
Digital forensics.
An analyst. Is there a civilian job that he would qualify for.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
Those types of skills are awesome for incident response teams.
mm-hmm.
So you'd probably find yourself, with a specialized role in an IR team, or you could expand your skill set and knowledge to run IR teams.
Probably run tabletops too.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what yeah, maybe. Because tabletops, forensics is, getting into the shit usually. I think you'd be a part of the tabletop team, but I don't know if you'd be good at. Yeah.
Yeah. I see what you're saying.
But yeah, there's a huge need for good forensics. The shit thing on forensics is, you can only, when you're doing an incident response, you can only rely on the evidence that you have, and are, the most basic, but also kind of the best, evidence is log files. And most people don't log shit. They haven't prepared for the incident. So you'll find a lot of frustration in trying to do forensic analysis on things where there's no forensics there. It's a pain in the ass.
It's not like CSI all the time, right?
I don't know. CSI is pretty cool, man. I mean, do I get to have the big monitors and stuff?
It's just always automatically checking and doing everything, and you can find all your answers quickly.
Mm-hmm. No, we need good forensic folks for sure in incident response. It's tedious. A lot of people don't like to do it. And a lot of people suck at it too. My incident response teams, the rule of thumb for conducting forensic analysis is if you're going too fast to document everything, you're going too fast. That's the number one thing I see people make mistakes is because you would assume that you're doing a forensic analysis to justify a story of some sort. Usually that story would be like a legal case, right? A lot of times you'll forego a forensic analysis because it's expensive. If there's not going to be any legal challenge here, you might forego it. Yeah, because a lot of people get caught up around doing attribution too. It's natural to ask, like, when some shit just happened, who did it?
Was it? Yeah.
And
China, Russia.
Well, it's a hell of a lot of work to figure out who did it, if you can even figure out who did it, right. And then for what means, why. So you would advise the customer, and a lot of times, to not go there because it's going to be too damn expensive, and you won't be able to do anything with it anyway. There won't be a prosecution. Even if you turn this over to law enforcement and this became a criminal matter, the criminal law is proof beyond a reasonable doubt. So you're going to have the evidence to stand up to that level of scrutiny. That's a pain in the ass. The most common place where you would use forensic analysis with, for actual benefit would be in a civil case. A civil case is preponderance of evidence, right? So law enforcement wouldn't be involved in that, probably. And so you just need to prove whatever point you're trying to prove, or defend yourself against whatever point they're trying to prove. And so you'd use your forensics, potentially to build that case up. The things that would be challenged in a legal case when it comes to civil law would be a lot of the same things with criminal law. It would be the quality of your evidence. So how well was it protected? Chain of custody becomes super damn important. The context of your evidence. So that's why documenting everything is super important, because it really sucks, because I've been there before, to be challenged by opposing legal counsel. Why did you do this? What happened when you did that? And if I don't have any documentation or anything to support it, that sucks. It's something that makes your counsel, I think, their job a lot harder. So anyway, I could preach on that.
Do you think there's going to be an uptick in personal forensics? Like, I just saw there's a company around here that's, bring in your, wife's phone or whatever, and be able to figure out if your spouse
she's cheating,
is doing this
cheating on
or
you or
doing
some
that.
shit.
Yeah. Or you think that's just kind of a gimmick thing?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I would take on the work, but you wouldn't be able to afford it. So,
Yeah, the
and
average
again,
person.
to what end?
You're just trying to profit off somebody. You're not really trying to fix
I mean,
anything.
if I analyzed your husband or wife's, excuse me, computer and found out they were cheating or not cheating, I mean, you got deeper issues. The fact that you're even questioning it should tell you some things. You know, why waste your time with
And
me?
money. Yeah.
I've got other things I'd rather work on anyway, too, because I don't want to get involved in. Over the years, I've always tried to stay away from highly emotionally charged cases. I don't want to get involved. You know,
I was going to give one piece of advice that I've learned with like any type of analysis is don't let anybody influence your analysis. Like you start out, you're running your theory. Don't let outside things influence you because people will be like, I heard this or this person said this, and it'll spiral you in directions. Just stick with what
that's great.
you're
Great
doing.
advice. Always follow the evidence.
Hmm.
If I'm going to be claiming that something is true, what do I have to back that up? And somebody else's opinion, my own bias, that's probably not going to hold much weight unless you have a shitload of credibility. You know, and you only get credibility by not making stupid mistakes like you just said. You know, if there's a gap in the evidence, note that there's a gap in the evidence. And so you're going to assume this gap, you know, and then you would assume that assumption is going to be challenged. Well, what about this? Did you think about that? No, I didn't think about that. Let's go look. Because you see a lot of people that walk into an incident investigation that they've done before, you know, that they've seen something similar to this before. So they just go ahead and just, oh, this is that.
Yep, I got this.
Guaranteed. Yep. Well, it might be that, but there might be a hell of a lot more that you're going to miss when you jump that big. That's a big gap that you just jumped right there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, good advice, Matt. Follow the evidence. All right, so use AI filters to your advantage. That's number 4. Number 5, set message expectations with your team. And I do try to do this. I don't live up to it much, so I think I've lost some trust here.
What do you mean by that?
Create a team response time policy. So we respond to non-urgent messages. As an example, we respond to non-urgent messages within 24 hours. Set some expectation. So if somebody sends me a message and they don't get a response in 2 days, you know, if I've already set that expectation with you, well then, you know, one, you may not send me the message because you just know you're not going to get a response, or you're not upset with me. You're not pissed off. And I'm not stressed out by the fact that it took me a few days to get there because I told you it was going to take a few days.
Does that mean I have to, every time I send a message, I have to send a priority, like this is urgent or this is not urgent? Or are they supposed to decipher that?
I think it depends on your team. I think the important thing is to have the discussion on this about how we want to handle it. Do we want to classify messages, you know, formally, or do we just trust each other to know what's urgent and not urgent? You know, and if for my team has always been very good at responding or discerning urgency in my emails, and I think they also, for the most part, drop everything when I email because I don't email much. You know, I don't abuse the messaging thing. That's another thing you can also do if you want quicker responses from people. Don't send so many damn messages. That way, when you do send a message, it like stands out. Oh shit, John Harmon just emailed me. I better read this one.
I'll have to take that as advice. I like that one.
Well, every team's got different dynamics too, because some teams really are cohesive and really value this transparent sort of communication. So they might be used to, you know, messaging each other really quickly, but then you can apply that circles sort of logic where, all right, every email I get from my really close knit team, gets priority. I think the big thing is just to set the expectations so that you're not disappointing people. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Do you agree with that, Matt?
I agree.
Set expectations. So other things on that, use status updates. So for example, in focus mode back at 3 p.m. to avoid unnecessary interruptions, encourage async communication, meaning not every message needs an immediate response. If you set that expectation with people, maybe you'll be less stressed about not replying to people. And maybe they would email you less too. Like, oh, this is going to be non-urgent. It's going to take 3 days to respond anyway. Maybe I just won't send the message. I don't know. It comes transparency. 6, the no messages zone strategy. Establish deep work hours with 0 messages allowed. I do this. Wednesday is usually I don't give a shit. I'm not checking email. My whole schedule is blocked off on Wednesday to do whatever. It might be project work. It might be personal stuff. It's just, I need to get away on Wednesday. In addition to your usual weekend stuff, but things pile up so fast that I just don't want any messages or meetings or anything on Wednesday. It's a boundary. So example, that gave you one example. Another example, no Slack or emails before 10 a.m. So you start your day productive, not reactive. So maybe take the first part of the day to do work shit that you want to do and then roll into it. For personal life, no phone at the dinner table or before bed unless you want to dream about work.
Oh, that before bed thing kills me. I want to do
Me
that
too.
more.
I do too. Yeah, I'm with you on that, man. I don't know if I don't use my phone for messaging before bed. Usually it's the entertainment thing.
The
I
death
just
scrolling. Yeah.
or the like I said, I like the Facebook videos. I think they're funny. So I wonder if it's probably not good for you either, though, is it?
No, because the whatever the dopamine is going from all that stuff, and your brain has to settle down and stuff.
All right. So the no messages. Like I said, I'll write this up and put this on my personal blog. So if you're not taking notes, because I'd love to hear people's thoughts on these things. Do these things work? Do they not work? Do you have some tips about these examples that maybe we don't know about? Because I am committed to being better at this. I suck at messages, all kinds of messages. I fucking don't like your messages. Sorry. Don't like any of them. I don't even like when my mom texts me or calls me.
Like, oh, why the hell are you texting me?
Yeah. I think part of it too is that I'm an only child. So as an only child, I'm super comfortable being alone. I'm super comfortable not having messages. So sometimes when I get messages, I'm like, son of a bitch, another person I got to talk to,
I feel that.
Yeah. All right. So 6 is the no message zones strategy. Number 7, master the art of short, direct replies. You don't need to write essays. Just get to the point. So example, what not to do. Hey, Bob, I was wondering if you could possibly send me that report whenever you get a chance. A good example is, Bob, can you send me the report by noon? So just getting to the point in your own messaging. I think because that shows probably some respect for the person you're messaging to. They don't have to read a whole paragraph to get to what you're actually asking for. It's, oh, okay, yeah, I'll get that report to you by noon.
Does that depend on your relationship with that person?
That's it too, right? Because when you send messages, you lack context often, and you can't see the nonverbal communications. You can't see whether I'm smiling while I'm writing that email. Mm-hmm. So sometimes when you have these brief messages, I think it's real easy to think like, why are you being such a dick?
You can create a thing in your head that's not true. Yeah. Oh, they're mad at me, but they might not be. Yep.
Would that be my problem?
It's not it's not your problem. However, it's good to I think it's that goes into a feedback conversation, open, honest feedback. If that is how someone is experiencing me and my communication, it is their experience. However, if multiple people are having the same thing, that then could be something for me to look at.
I think if you were going to follow this too, you would want to be consistent, because then, they just know that's how he always replies. It's always short and to the point. He's not angry. He's not mad. He's not sad. He's not happy. You can't tell any of that shit from the email. It's just he's to the point.
That's fair.
Because I think if you changed up, like if you're always, the softy kind of message person where it's like explaining everything, putting emojis in there and shit like that, and then all of a sudden that stops and it's just, Bob, can you send me that report by noon? If you change that up and you're not consistent, yeah, they might view you as like, what the hell happened to Evan? Is he going through a divorce, or, his dog die? Why the hell is he being so damn short with me? But I do like it. I think it's, and maybe you just put in your email signature, like, look, these are short to the point messages because I'm trying to save you your own sanity.
I'm here to help you.
Instead of you having to process an extra megabyte of data in the 74 gigabytes that you're processing today, I just want you to process 2 kilobytes. You're welcome. That's what I would put in my email signature if I decided to do this. You're welcome ahead of time. And then
Put
a heart
your
emoji.
signature at the top then.
And then a heart emoji. So you know that I'm not pissed off. I just want you to get the damn report to me by noon. All right, number 8, leave or silence pointless group chats. If a group chat is just memes and nonsense, mute it or leave it. Use the FOMO test. If you leave a chat and miss nothing important, you didn't need it.
I agree with that.
So get rid of the shit. 9, batch responses like a boss. Instead of responding in real time, reply to messages in batches. For example, check messages every 2 to 3 hours instead of constantly. It saves time and mental energy. You don't have to keep shifting focus. I do this a lot because if I'm coding or working on something, I'm not reading messages.
I do the opposite.
So you will be working on something that requires your focus and then stop to reply to a message and then come back to it a lot? Yep. Okay. Do you think that hurts your productivity or your quality of work?
It probably impacts what I'm capable, like full capability. I'm not sure if it impacts quality, and I say that because I think normal people,
because your
military
shit don't stink.
people have different quality levels. I'm not saying my shit don't stink. I think in the military, my quality level is just higher than a normie in general.
All right. So we got a pride issue.
Maybe that's an excuse. I don't know.
Maybe you've got a pride issue. You narcissistic son of a bitch.
I mean, that could be a thing.
No, I'm kidding. No, I get where you're coming from. That's so drilled into you in the Marine Corps. It was drilled into me by my father was, if you're going to do something, do it right, or don't do it at all. So then, yeah, maybe the quality of the work, but maybe, like you said, maybe the scope doesn't.
It's keeping me from reaching my full potential because I'm scared to go there.
Oh, interesting. Okay. All right. So do you think you could find some use in not responding in real time and instead replying in batches, every few hours? That way you can focus on the thing you're focusing on.
I feel like I think about that every day and then discipline fails in that.
Hey, Marine, you can't claim that your quality work is so damn good, but you lack the discipline.
It's maybe I'm full of shit. I don't
No,
think.
you're not full of shit. You're a Marine, and I'm proud of you for that. All right. Number 10, know when to pick up the phone. Some messages take 10 back and forth emails when a 2-minute phone call would solve it. And I'm a big stickler on this. If something's complex or urgent, just call. It's faster. People do not like using phones anymore. They do not like calling.
Yep.
They'd
I'm
rather
one of
text you
those.
1,000 times. They'd rather send you 50 fucking emails.
Because that allows you to keep doing the switching. I think the
Right.
brain likes the switching.
Yeah, it's a huge pet peeve of mine when something, it's going to take me longer to reply to this email than it would be to just have a phone call. And in an interactive conversation like a phone call, you can ask additional questions, whereas an email, like if something wasn't clear, it's like back and forth and back and forth. That really frustrates me. And yeah, pick up the phone.
Yeah.
I mean, assuming you have my phone, which, you know, you should. If you're that, if there's enough shit to go back and forth 10 times, you have my
Should have
phone
a
number.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. But it's weird how people don't like to phone call anymore. I was sitting with the CISO of Domino's Pizza
Snap.
one day.
I almost applied to work there. IRT
Well,
a few years ago.
be happy you didn't take the job. But we were talking about, what the hell are we talking about? Oh, you know why Domino's, like, when they like exploded in growth, they were one of the first companies on the planet to recognize that people hate making phone calls. They don't like talking to people. They would much rather use an app and just order it on the app and the pizza shows up. That's like a big thing in today's society is people don't talk to each other anymore. They text, they tweet, they message, they email. They don't fucking have conversations. That's one of the big reasons why I like these Thursday nights with you, Matt, is it's a conversation. You can talk about shit. So, yeah, pick up the damn phone. If something's urgent, call.
At the funeral yesterday, people were like, "Oh, you're very chatty. You like talking to people." I was like, I guess. I I think I don't like people, but okay.
Yeah, I don't
Whatever.
like people. I love people, but don't like them.
Yeah. You can do
You know,
both.
the difference is love is a choice for me anyway, and liking is a feeling. So I can make a choice to love everybody, which means, look at the Bible. If you want to know what love is, in my definition, it's, wanting what's best for somebody else, wanting them to be healthy, to grow, it's all that stuff. And then, liking people though, that's a feeling. Like when you walk in the room, I can't really control how I feel about you walking in the room. Mm-hmm. If I don't like it, I don't like it. I might be trying to figure out like why I don't like it.
But it's just like an energy thing. Like, ew.
Yeah. Yep. Like I did that to John Kittleson. I told you that story, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm. And that went well.
It was funny because it was, we're at breakfast in the morning and it just dawned on me like, man, I don't like you. And I said it. I didn't realize I said it out loud. And he's like, oops. What? I'm like, no, man. I mean, I don't. But I got to tell you, number one, why it's not your problem if I don't like you. That's not your problem. It's my problem because I'm having the feelings. You're not. So why do I not like you? Let me try to figure it out. And so I did figure it out. The reason why I didn't like him is because he's that guy that's no matter what you're working on, he's always got something to say. Always got, and give you advice on shit when I didn't ask about advice. So like if I'm working on coding and I didn't ask for any help, I don't want any damn help because there's a reason why I'm working on it by myself right now. And then he would come in and be like, oh, did you try this? No, shut the hell up. Get out of here.
It's like when you yelled at me, I was trying to help you with the AI thing. You're like, yeah, I've done this before. Like, okay.
Yeah. Well, it gets distracting because you're like on this train of thought, and it's like,
Yeah.
dude, step off, man. When I do need help, I'll ask for it. I think. If not, I'll just die here trying to do it myself. But anyway, all right. So that's what I got, man. Those were my 10 things. I'm going to put those, like I said, on. I'll
I
post
think
those.
you missed one. I want to add one.
Which one? Which one? What do you got?
Limit the screen time on some apps on the iPhones. The Androids might do it. You can turn on screen time thing. Now, the challenge comes back to discipline again. I've done that, and then it pops up. I'm just like, ignore. So you have to still be disciplined, but it's another way to at least slow you down and interrupt the cycle.
Yeah, and how many people do you think are so worried about what other people think of them, or so worried about like disappointing other people? Because I was thinking about like the learning to ignore guilt-free. Like guilt-free. Like today, I was gone pretty much all day. I didn't respond to any emails, I don't think. I didn't really respond to any messages. I still have a whole bunch to respond to, but I don't feel guilty about that. How many people would do that and be like guilty that they did it, or have anxiety that they're not, fuck, I haven't looked at email in 2 hours.
I think people do, they just won't talk about it, which is why we talk about it.
Can we give, and maybe us as leaders, as managers, how about, maybe reassuring our team members, it's okay. When you're on vacation, you're on vacation. When you're not on call, don't answer the fucking phone. Disconnect. Don't feel guilty about it. If going back to that, setting with your team the right expectations. If I've set the expectation with my team and I need to get formal like this and say, all right, 24 hours. That's how much time you have to respond to my email. And you respond in 23 hours. Don't feel guilty about that shit. It's okay. You know what I mean? I think it's just setting these expectations, because I think a lot of people do suffer from anxiety when they're disconnected.
I suffer from needing to be involved. My team tells me, stop. My boss says, no, don't work. I'm like, yes, but I want to. Because, yeah.
You can want to work, though, and work on something else. Because I think at some point, I think it's one of the big differences between a manager and a leader, is a manager is managing. They're in the details a lot with their team. They're in the shit with them. And then leaders they can let go. I'm not in the shit with you. If you want me to go into the shit with you, I will go into the shit with you, but you'll have to ask me to go into the shit with you, because I trust that you're in the shit and you're doing good shit with the shit. That's why you were hired. That's, you got hella skills. If you didn't, we would be talking about something different now. But that was the thing that I had to learn myself. And it took, actually went on a cruise. That's how I learned to disconnect from the day-to-day shit. Because I knew that I wanted to be a better leader than a manager. I know I'm built to be a leader, not a manager. And so I went on a cruise on purpose as a vacation, because I knew I wouldn't have internet connectivity unless I bought the internet package. So that was my disciplined decision, was I'm not buying the internet package. So I will have no connectivity. I will not know what the fuck's going on at the office. I will not see any emails. I will not get any phone calls. And I told my team up front that this is why I was doing it. And I, honest to God, the whole trip, I was filled with anxiety. I did not enjoy that trip at all. I was constantly worried about what was going on back at the office. I got back on land, got on, checked the emails, and everything was fine. I mean, they didn't need me. And that's what it took for me to get over that anxiety. So then I don't, now I don't have any anxiety about not being involved in the details with the team. That was a lifesaver though. That was really hard. That week was shit. My wife was not happy, but I was explaining it to her. Like this is why I'm doing it. I think it'll pay dividends in the long run. We'll be able to do things like we were able to do today. I spent hours with my wife today, and I did not stress one bit about not being on email. Just took, taking that damn medicine and reassuring myself, and I think we could do that a lot with our messages. Like, it's okay. The world's not going to fucking end if you didn't reply to that email. It's not. I mean, it's going to be fine. And if people get pissed off about it, explain to them why you're doing what you're doing, and they'll understand it.
I always tell people, like, my experience is different, right? I had military, we're on the radio, combat operations, like different type of realism than what's happening here. And people aren't dying if you don't do something. However, that doesn't mean I'm not going to challenge you. I'm going to push you past where you are comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what I'm meant to do, is push people.
Yeah. Well,
Even
there are
though
life.
I'm crappy at pushing myself.
But you can push people in order to push people and have them fulfill their potential. You have to empower them to do it.
Yes.
So like when you elevate somebody into a leadership position and it's their job to make these decisions, and it's clear that it's their job to make these decisions, you have to empower them to make those decisions, regardless of whether I like it. I'm not the one who's been empowered. I mean, I can always overrule you. When I do that, I'm spending political capital, and I only have so much political capital. Political capital is worth more than money in leadership, because it's expensive. It's hard to get it back. And you lose political capital by not trusting your team. You lose political capital by not empowering your team. You lose political capital by overruling your team when you've empowered them to make those decisions. And so I usually remind team members, leaders that I've put in positions, when they ask me a question about something that they've been empowered to answer, I just turn it back, like, what should I do with this? And I'm like, I don't know. What should you do with that?
People get mad when you do that.
But have you not been empowered to make this decision? Because if you're going to turn it back on me to make this decision for you, you're not going to like it, because it's not yours. You know what I mean? You just gave up part of your empowerment back to me. What the fuck am I going to do with it? I put you there for it. You know what I mean? So the double-edged sword is when you've empowered somebody. So I turn it back on you to make that decision. Well, let's say I don't like that decision, as your manager, leader, whatever. I have to be really careful, because if I say, no, we're not going to do that. Well, I just stole your empowerment. I just spent political capital. Now, what does that do for your
morale?
What does that do for your confidence? What does it do for your morale? So I've let, and I have let, and I still continue to let lots of decisions go past that I don't agree with. And I won't hold it against you either, because that's part of the leadership thing too, right? Like, failure is not optional; it's mandatory. Mm-hmm. If you ain't failing, you ain't growing.
That's true.
Go break some shit. That's what I do. I mean, I'm breaking shit all the time. That's why I'm debugging all this fucking code. Yeah. Anyway, so good stuff, man. I think message overload, we all got it. If you don't got it now, good for you. Pay attention. Make sure you don't get it. If you do get it, put it in its proper box. One of the things I didn't mention was killing platform overload. That's like a bonus one. That's number 11, meaning if you're like a lot of people, you might have Slack, WhatsApp, Teams, email, multiple email accounts, LinkedIn messaging, Facebook messaging. I mean, you might have 57 different apps with all this messaging shit. Well, kill that if you can. Kill the platform overload. Choose a few. Let the people that matter know the few that you're using. And everybody else, fuck it. Not everybody in the world needs to know how to get a damn message to me.
Yep.
So that's that, Matt. What else? What else you got?
Well,
Some trivia?
last week we skipped Hacker
I got
Whack,
trivia.
so I created
Oh,
some.
you got some Hacker Whack for me?
Yeah. You ready?
Okay, let me do some trivia first. I got some cool trivia, and then we'll do Hacker Whack.
Okay.
Which messaging app was once barred in China for refusing to share user data?
Facebook.
WhatsApp.
Oh, Facebook.
No, it's WhatsApp. China blocked WhatsApp in 2017.
It's owned by Facebook.
Because it added end-to-end encryption. What AOL instant message, famous goodbye, AOL instant messengers, did you ever use AIM?
I used all of them. ICQ, AIM, MSN, Yahoo.
What was the famous goodbye message when you signed out?
I feel like it was just a door closing.
It was, you've been signed off.
And it was their door closing. There was like a thing.
Was there a door
when they
closing
came
too?
online, it was a knock. Knock, knock.
Yeah.
I remember that.
I can still hear the modem connection sounds.
Yep, the dial.
Oh, shit. All right. So Hacker Whack, what do we got?
Hacker Whack. Okay.
Are you
Tesla
gonna ask
car.
me really hard? Are you going to ask me really hard questions, Matt?
I don't know. We'll see.
All
Nothing's
right.
probably hard for you. But...
Fuck. It's hard for me to get out of bed. It's hard for me to get my damn socks on, my underwear on. It's hard for me to do everything.
I pulled my back putting my shoe on Sunday because it was my birthday. Awesome.
I fell over once and hit my head on the towel rack trying to get my underwear on. That was a while back.
Yeah. All right. Tesla car used as a rogue Wi-Fi hotspot to steal credentials.
Hacker Whack. Tesla used as a rogue Wi-Fi hotspot to steal credentials. You could do that. I'm gonna say hack.
Yeah. Researchers demonstrated at Black Hat. Has it been used in the wild? I don't know.
Yes.
But it's possible.
I would think so, because all you have to do is change the SSID.
Yeah. Hackers use smart light bulbs to steal Wi-Fi passwords.
Smart light bulbs to steal That's whack.
That is a hack. Checkpoint found that some smart light bulbs store Wi-Fi credentials in plain text. I don't know what smart light bulbs use Wi-Fi because mine are Bluetooth.
No, mine are all Wi-Fi. But so say that Hacker Whack thing again?
So it's used to steal Wi-Fi passwords. The smart light bulb.
So I would use a smart light bulb to steal Wi-Fi passwords. Mm-hmm. That is whack. The fact that I can find Wi-Fi passwords on a smart bulb, that is hack. But it's a shitty question.
Yeah.
So I would never, if I was going to steal Wi-Fi passwords, I can't use a Wi-Fi light bulb to do that.
Unless you did it through Bluetooth or something.
No, but even then, because you'd have to connect that sumbitch. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, fuck it.
I don't know. You didn't tell me how you did it, so this is what came up.
No, I like it, dude. This is great. It's good conversation.
Right. You're challenging me. All right.
And you're challenging me as well.
AI-generated emails outsmart spam filters.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Hack.
MIT, that's a hack. NASA hacked using a Raspberry Pi. A Raspberry Pi connected to NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, allowing attackers to pivot inside the network and access sensitive Mars mission data.
That actually, you're saying it's a Hacker Whack, whether that actually happened or not?
Mm-hmm.
Fuck. I mean, it would be a hack because an insider could do it. So I'd say hack.
Yeah, it's a hack, apparently.
Could I do it? No, because it'd be, well, maybe, but it'd be a hell of a job to get in there.
All right, using a smartwatch to capture ATM pins via motion sensor. While motion sensors can track hand movements, you can use the watch to capture the ATM pin with wrist motion.
Whack.
Yeah. Sounds pretty crazy though, like you could probably.
Well, I mean, no. So yeah, total whack. It's not sensitive enough to do that.
Cyber criminals create fake law firm website to trick executives into leaking data.
Hack.
Yeah, that happens all
We
the
could do
time,
that shit. We could do that shit live right now.
Hackers, well, I'm gonna stop that. Criminals use a compromised vending machine to breach a corporate network. Corporate office was exploited via a vending machine, allowing them to pivot inside the internal network.
Yeah, that'd be a hack.
Yep, it's just an IoT device. Hacked traffic lights caused a citywide gridlock. While traffic
Hack.
lights, this says it's a whack. It says while there are vulnerabilities, there's no documented case of a citywide traffic jam.
No citywide, no, but traffic jams for sure.
That might be fun. Go do hack the planet.
You want to do it?
We could talk about it.
We could talk about it.
Criminals use 3D printed fingerprints to unlock a stolen phone.
Whack.
Apparently, this is true according to
Really?
Forbes. 3D fingerprints could successfully bypass biometric security on certain phones. I imagine that probably only existed for a small amount of time, if it did.
Well, yeah, because shit, you have to have a really nice 3D printer to get that level of detail.
The proper
ridges and whirls, man. It's all ridges and whirls on them damn fingers.
Even the material, I imagine, would be a thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Hackers use a smart toilet to leak Bluetooth credentials.
I've never seen a smart toilet. I'd say hack. I mean, if it's Bluetooth, you can hack Bluetooth for sure.
Whack. While Bluetooth does exist, there's no recorded attack. I know Kohler is making smart toilets.
What does a smart toilet do?
It's smart. I don't know. We don't care. It's just smart.
No, I just want my toilet to accept what I'm depositing into it and get rid of it. I don't need anything else.
Yep.
Well, anything Bluetooth. So, I mean, if you put Bluetooth in a damn toilet, it's very conceivable to hack it.
Yep.
These are good ones. I like your hacks and whacks. Do you have any more hacks and whacks?
They weren't really framed like questions. I'll have to tweak it to get more question based. But yeah, so I went down this hole. So earlier.
Speaking of toilets,
check this out. I just put in hack, and it started going down like regular type stuff. Like, okay, is this hack or whack? Using toothpaste to repair CD scratches.
I've always said that people, if you've ever used duct tape before, you're a hacker.
Yep.
So yes, that is absolutely a hack. And
so this says it can work, but it can also damage the CD. I will say I used it all the time, and I never had a problem.
Yeah, I've done it too.
Here's another one. Place a bar of soap under bed sheets to prevent leg cramps.
Really? That works?
No. People talk about it, but there's no evidence that it works.
Because you can put soap. It's one way to keep critters out. You know, because I live in tropical world, and during the cold season, which isn't really cold, but it is for the animals, I guess, that live here. But during this time of year is when the spiders, the scorpions, snakes come into the house because they're cold-blooded and what they want is warmth. And so where's the warmest place in the house? It's in your bed. But you can put, I think, I've never done it, but I've heard that you can put soap shavings around your bed to keep them away.
Will get them.
Yeah, I've never done it, but we have this place fumigated like every. My wife is so anti-bug. She fumigates this damn place all the time.
Here's one you probably don't have to worry about: placing cat litter in a sock on the dashboard to prevent window fogging. I might have to try this.
Yeah, try that.
It says
you got a
it
cat,
works.
so you got it.
Yep, it says it works in wintertime. But I park in a garage. It doesn't really get it, but be cool.
Can you beat the shit out of somebody with cat litter in a sock?
like a soap? Yeah.
Yeah, soap bars and cat litter. Smack the crap out of somebody. If you're in prison, don't do it like at home. All right, well, good talking, man. This was a good episode.
Right.
Hopefully, people found some things in what we talked about tonight. I did,
I think
for
the
sure.
problem isn't too much information. I mean, it is and it isn't. I think we talked about how it could be good, but I think the real challenge is how we manage it. And I think you want to be intentional, stay informed. Don't let the information own you. You need to be in charge.
Way to go, man.
Yep.
I think that's great advice. Good to close it on. You be in charge.
Yeah. So
you control the damn computer. Don't let the computer control you.
So if you found this valuable, don't forget to like, subscribe, follow us, all that fancy stuff. But also, what do you got planned for next week?
Next week, we've already got that one published somewhere, don't we? Episode 21 is 22. This is 21. What are we talking about next week? The job market. How shitty the job market is. Yeah, I've got some definite things, and maybe we'll have a guest. I've had a number of people that have asked to be a guest in that one, so maybe we'll invite somebody to come share their job experience, because that's one of the parts that I really struggle with. I don't understand that perspective. I haven't looked for a job in a long time. I can tell you what I'm told. I'm told that we've got open positions all over the damn place, that we don't have enough talent. But then I hear from people that are talented, they can't get a damn job. So what the hell is the disconnect? That'll be a good discussion next week.
I know when I was looking 3 years ago, it took me 6 months.
Yeah, see, it's bullshit. I mean, if the jobs are out there, something's broken. So it'll be a good discussion. I've got plenty of opinion on it.
I'm excited. I got lots of ideas for that one.
All right. Well, that's it for episode 21. We'll see you next week for episode 22 at 8 o'clock. If you want to join us live, 8 o'clock Thursday night.
All right. Thank you.
There we go, brother.
Peace and
it's
hair grease.
done. What'd you say? Peace.